Hey guys, Kristin LaVanway here. So one of my clients just called me. He's ready to sell his house. And just like a lot of people who call me when they're ready to sell their house, they pointed out the house down the street that recently sold for, like a lot more money than most of the other houses in the neighborhood. As it happens, I knew exactly what house he was talking about because one of my buyer clients called me as soon as that house hit the market and said, "Gotta have that house. It's awesome." It was a sort of basic house. It had a nice pool in the backyard, but what really made it spectacular was this amazing garden. And in the marketing, they had pictures of bushels of apples and tomatoes and all this stuff. And you could just imagine living in that house and eating apples and harvesting fresh tomatoes all summer. It had a sexy factor, right? And that's why that house sold for more than all the other houses in the neighborhood. Okay, you want to list your house and you want your house to sell for more than any other house in the neighborhood, right? Because doesn't every seller want that? Well, how do you make it happen? Pseudo scientifically speaking, buying a house is about 40% financial and about 60% emotional. Yeah, first they narrow it down within their budget and then that's it, all emotional from there. And by emotional, I mean exactly two emotions: fear and fantasy. Now, the fear part is all the stuff they're afraid they're going to have to pay for after they buy the house. The house is dated. The water heater is on its last legs. It's like super old, and you know that air conditioner is just hanging on by a thread. And it feels like the home hasn't been well cared for by the current owners. There's a lot of like mysterious deferred maintenance type stuff floating around. It just makes them think that there's way worse things hiding in the corners. Fear will stop people from buying a house. It doesn't really affect price, it affects their decision. It's a yes or a no. It's a pass or a go. Once you get past the fear part though, the fantasy part kicks in. And the fantasy is what will inspire buyers to write big giant numbers on their offers. So the house with the garden, that was the thing. You could just imagine yourself living there, floating in the pool, eating apples, making salsa with his tomatoes out of the garden. Or you have the resort backyard and you can just imagine having barbecues there with your friends. Or you have this gourmet kitchen with the granite countertops and you can just imagine having these dinner parties for your friends. They have this fantasy of the lifestyle that the house suggests. So how do you make that be your house? Well, a lot of it comes from how you lived in the house way before you decided to sell it. A lot of these things you can't do right at the last minute. There's a big argument against putting a pool in a house because you never get the money back out anyways, right? Well, that may or may not be true. If you put a pool in and then sell it 6 months later, yeah, you're probably not going to get your money back. But if you buy a house and you put in a pool and then you live in there for 8 years and you swim in that pool every single day during the summer and you have fantastic barbecues with your friends and lots of great memories and you do have one of those to die for backyards and makes people write bigger checks, then yeah, you probably will get that money out of your pool. Plus, you're going to have years and years of enjoyment. Same with the kitchen. Same with all the other things that you decide to do to make your house special. But not too special, right? You don't want to go too HGTV crazy and make it too odd or anything. But certainly a really special house, something that really is memorable, is going to draw a higher price. That's just the way it works. So here's what I would suggest. When you're living in your house, love it. Love it, love it, love it. Make it your own, make it special. Within your budget, do the things that's going to make the house the most enjoyable house you can imagine living in. You may decide that's enough. You may decide it's a perfect house and you never want to move. But if the day comes and you need to sell it, then it's going to have a lot more market appeal. Now, what if you don't have a super special house? What if you just have like a plain backyard or kind of a plain kitchen? Are there some things you can do to make your house special? Yes, most certainly there are. I was just with some clients and they were looking in a neighborhood where the houses were in high demand and they were a little bit older. They're like from the 90s, so many of them hadn't been remodeled yet. And we looked at, believe me, every single house as soon as it came on the market. And most of the houses did kind of have a high fear factor. My clients were like, yeah, well, we're going to have to put some money into this one, right? They weren't exactly move-in ready. Well, one day a house came on the market that really, really sizzled. It was just a nice house. It was clean. It was well cared for. And the backyard was perfect. And the garage was perfect. And it had like some cute decor. but not too much. And guess what? My clients could just imagine how wonderful it was going to be to live there. They could see all that because they weren't afraid of all the scary stuff. It was not too much to make that house so special. A lot of it was just cleaning it. Maybe they put a coat of paint up. They fixed everything. You could tell everything was fixed. We did the home inspection, and there was like a handful of things that the inspector had to really work hard to find. Those are the kind of homes that are going to fetch the highest dollars. So if you're kind of thinking about you want to sell and you want your house to be like that and you're trying to figure out how to put a little more love into the equation, well, you know where to find me. Kristin here at Phoenix.com. That's where. Yeah, that's it. Get rid of the fear factor. Focus on the fantasy and see a little more money in your pocket at the end of the day.